Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our discussion on learning or the different types of learning. In this session, we are going to discuss about cognitive learning and the three main types of cognitive learning: latent learning, insight learning, and imitation. So, first, we'll discuss about latent learning. So, cognitive learning or cognition refers to the mental action or the process of acquiring knowledge and understanding what is acquired through the different senses. While learning is the process or a skill which is acquired by an instruction or a study, it is by experience. So, the concept of cognitive learning unites these two ideas and defines a process that intervene when an information is being processed, which goes on from the sensory input when you see something or you hear something, sensory input, through the cognitive system where you gather the information, process the information, and reaches into a conclusion to how to respond to that. So this particular pathway or this particular type of learning, so depending upon the situation, you have different types of cognitive learning, and in different animals you have different types of cognitive learning. So, cognitive learning allows for learning to occur as a result of thoughts regarding things which are learned and the interaction of between things which are already learned. And there are three examples of cognitive learning which we'll discuss here: latent learning, insight learning, and imitation. So, first is latent learning or hidden learning. So in latent learning, or the from the word hidden learning, you learn something without knowing that you are learning. Learning. An example of latent learning is the learning of a route or the learning of a particular place or a location. Is latent learning. If you take the example of humans, for example, when you come to the college for the first time, you do not know where the department is, where your class is, etc. So first time when you come to the college, you inquire, or when you go somewhere, or when you come to the college, you inquire at the security where the office is, or you inquire at the security where the particular department is. So he will guide you. The department is in the first floor towards the left side, etc. So you first move on to the building. You try to find out the stairs, and if you do not find the stairs, you ask someone where the stairs is. He will guide you to the stairs. Through the stairs you move on to the first floor, as directed to go or searches the left, whether there are some signboards which is showing the department, etc., and finally you reach the department or you reach your particular class. Okay, so that is the first time, or the first time when you come to the college. Will you repeat it the second day? No. In the second day or in the subsequent uh, coming to the college, what you know is that you have already learned the path, already learned the route. That was unknowingly. You were not trying to learn something, you were just searching for your class to be gone. But that searching in the first time or during the first time led you to learn that particular route. As a result, on subsequent coming to the college or subsequent days when you come to the college, without asking anybody, you can directly find the stairs, you directly move to the particular department or your particular class. So this is what is called as latent learning. That is, you are learning something which happens unknowingly, and that is what is called as hidden learning. So here learning occurs but is not evident until later when conditions for its appearance are favorable. That means during the first time when you are moving or when you are asking someone and when you're going, you are not realizing that you are learning the route. But on the second day, without asking anyone, you are going in the correct direction, and that is what is called as It is not evident until later when the conditions for its appearance are favorable. But in the second day, you realize that you have learned that particular route. So not apparent. This is not apparent in the and the learning is not apparent in the learner's behavior at the time of learning, but it manifests later when circumstances appear. So, latent learning, or the experiment which was conducted to demonstrate latent learning, is a group of rats were divided into two groups and introduced into a maze. So, a maze is nothing but it is a box in which many paths are created. It is not an empty box. It is a box where you can see many paths, many twisted paths will be there in this particular box, and such a box is usually called as a maze. And they were allowed to sniff around and live in there for a few days. So a group of rats were allowed to live in that particular maze for a few days, so that they will become acclimatized to that maze. So they will sniff around. They know that particular structure of the maze, etc. And another group of rats was kept in a normal box without any maze. And what they did was that later, after a week or a two, what they did was that they took the two groups of rats and they placed food at one end of the maze. Okay, in the maze, as I said, there will be paths in it, and in the first time, or in that particular case, they were not conditioned to find the food, etc. They were just put in that particular maze, and they were reared in that particular maze, and that particular they were not made to learn something. They were just put in that particular maze. So what happened was that in the subsequent experiment, they took few rats from the two groups, the rat which was in the normal box and the rat which was in the maze, and they kept food at one end of the maze. Okay, so there was a path inside the box, and the food was kept at another end. And what they did is they released these two groups of rats. That is, the one group which was already present in the maze or lived in the maze, and the other group which did not have any idea about the maze. So, what happens is that these two rats will be behaving they will be behaving like you are coming to the college in the first day and the second day. That is, the rats which were inside the maze for a week or a two, they know how the maze is, or how you can move in through the maze. As a result, they will easily move through the maze, they reach the other end, they take the food. But the other group which did not have any idea of the maze, that is how you came to the college for the first time, as a result, you will take more time to reach the other end, sniffing around, finding the path, etc. But the others, they already know the structure of the maze. They will run around, they reach the maze very early. So what happened is that when the rats were inside the maze, they were not given this food at the end, etc. They were not trained to get the food at the other end, etc. But unknowingly, the rats studied the structure of the maze. As a result, when they were put in the maze with the other group, these group reaches the other end in the first position. So the experimental rats gets the food in the first because they learned something about the maze when they lived in it, and this is what is called as latent learning, or which is called as the hidden learning. So coming to the second type of learning, which is a more important one, which is more important to primates, and this is called as cognitive learning. This is called as insight learning. So this is the most advanced form of learning. This is also called as problem solving or trial and error learning. That means you are learning something out of trial and error. You make errors, you again learn. So that is what is problem solving or trial and error learning. So here in this type of learning, the particular individual derives new solution to a problem by thinking about it, and that is why it is called as problem solving type of learning. Perceptual reorganization of elements such as forming new relationship among objects or events suddenly emerge. So that is why which is called as solution. So this type of learning is seen in man, other primates, and some birds. So the experiment to prove insight learning was done by Kohler in chimpanzee. So we'll first see the particular experiment and come back. So this is the experiment that demonstrates insight learning. So here you can see the scientists have placed a peanut inside that particular tube. Now what the chimpanzee does is the same thing what the crow did in the fairy tales. So what he was doing was that he was taking water from his cup in the mouth and he was putting or pouring the water so that the peanut comes up. So that's also an insight learning. Or the problem was he could not get the peanut from the inside of the tube. He could not reach his finger, so he is finding a solution to get the peanut. And that and this type of learning, which was hidden because he knew somehow that pouring water takes it up. So he's taking it now, and this type of learning is usually called as insight learning. So this is another experiment done by Kohler. So what he was did this that he hung some bananas on top of the cage of a chimpanzee, and he put three boxes, and only if the three boxes are placed together, he could reach that particular banana. So at many trials, what the chimpanzees will do is that the same thing he is doing with the stick. So there are many experiments. So here you can see that for taking the banana, three sticks could be joined together. Only then he would get the banana from there. So you can see he is joining the stick in the cage so that he could get the banana. So three sticks were put in the cage, and if only he joins the three sticks, so it is a trial and error. So he first tries with one stick, again he tries with the second, etc. So this is the other experiment which we saw. So here he tries with the first box, he put it in different shapes, and now after many trials, he's putting the second box. Yeah, you can see that it got the. So this is what is called as a problem solving type of learning, which is called as insight learning. This is another type because he is also having the stick, but only if he puts the second box on top of the other. So this is what is called as trial. So he is trying many different skills to attain that particular food, but yeah, he got it. So such type of learning is usually considered to be what is called as insight learning. So this is how they tried the experiments on insight learning. So the other one is holding or helping the other one to get it. So all these can be considered to be the examples of or the experiments that demonstrated what is called as insight learning. So this was such experiments was conducted first by Kohler to prove insight learning. So Kohler's experiment, as we said, Kohler placed, as we saw in the video, he placed banana outside the cage of the chimpanzee, too far for it to reach. Small sticks were placed inside the cage, which could be joined to reach the banana. So after many trials, the chimp figures out that the sticks could be joined and get the banana. So this type of learning. So there are many. Either the boxes can be put together to reach the banana, etc. The story of the crow in the fairy tales, etc. All these proves that particular type of learning, which is called as insight learning. Now we'll discuss. Now we'll discuss the third type of cognitive learning, that is imitation. So animals learn to do something by watching other animals do, and this is what is called as imitation. So what and how to imitate depends on the species capacity, how it imitates. So, parrots imitating human sounds, children learning to speak, etc., are examples of imitation. So, the extent of imitation, what it imitates, for example, parrot imitating the voice of humans, children learning to speak, and other birds or other animals imitating other animals, etc. So, every animal cannot imitate at the same level. That is why it is said that it depends on the capacity of the species to imitate. And here you can see a video of the parrot imitating a human sound.
Good. You say hi? Can you be a little more polite? Would you like to introduce yourself? Are you famous? What keeps you safe? Good.
So see how it is answering to your questions.
Are you a pirate? Can you blow a kiss? Can you toot? That's gross. All right. How about some animal sounds?
So
Can
it
you
is
do a
going
red
to
wolf?
imitate animals.
How about an owl? The pretty songbirds? How about a rooster? Can you do a horse? Good. How about a pig that needs to go on a diet? How about your best friend, the skunk? Stinker. Can you fall down? Did that hurt? Cry like a baby.
So these are examples of what is called as imitation. This is how a parrot is imitating. The same thing the languages learned by human or our young ones is also example of, because they are imitating how adults speak or how their parents speak, and that is how they learn to speak. And here with this we come to the end of the session, which is called as, or the type of learning which is called as cognitive learning. In cognitive learning we discussed about latent learning, insight learning, and the last one, imitation. In the next session we'll be discussing about the another type of learning, which is called as learning set learning. Thanks for hearing.